Hey Beans! So a little bit ago, I made a video about the top 10 best updates Animal Jam has ever released. Animal Jam has had plenty of updates, so naturally, there are quite a few that are pretty bad. So I figured I'd show you guys the top 10 worst updates that Animal Jam has ever released. Now this video is more just to kind of laugh at how much Animal Jam has changed, more than to really just strike down how much effort they put into their game. For every single medium level update they've released some amazing updates to counteract it. So please don't misinterpret this video. I love Animal Jam's updates, but there are a few that are fun to laugh at, because they really just didn't add anything, and it's kind of fun to just watch Animal Jam struggle to try and fill the pages of the Jama Journal. So anyways, enjoy the top 10 worst Animal Jam updates ever. The first update on this list is the Snow Fort update from January of many years ago. So the Snow Fort was actually already released, and basically Animal Jam just spent this entire update just repeating things that had been in past Jama journals. I mean, they had already released Pet Owls and the New Year's Party, and even the Animal Contest was announced in the last update as well. The only new thing, I guess, is this little page that says there's new info on Cosmo, but Cosmo's gross, so... Now, I have to give this update some credit. It did add some cool new plushies, but other than that, it just spent a lot of time explaining exactly how Pet Wash worked. Added a very basic double gems feature to one game, and reminded people that there are in fact shops around Jama. So overall, this update didn't add too much, though I do have to say it was a good idea on Animal Jam's part to add those somewhat rare plushies. Now, my hatred of this update is somewhat personal, but when I first opened it, I was impatient and I just saw the Play Now sticker and I assumed that Brady's Expeditions was a game. So I started recording, and halfway through I realized that it was just a video series and I had wasted all that time recording hoping there was going to be a game. Anyways, other than that, it really just didn't add much. Again, they spent like a whole page on traveling animals, they announced that the Summer Carnival was here, they announced the member gift, but they didn't add anything new, they just repeated stuff that was in the last Jama Journal. It is kind of a shame that a few of these are Jama Day updates, but Animal Jam isn't always the most creative around the holidays. There's a lot of stuff that they like to release every single year around the holidays, and so oftentimes they skip out on new content in favor of just releasing old content again. Some examples are in this very update. This Jama Day Rescue adventure has been out every single year. They just re-released Deer, which is not that exciting, and then they even just replaced the daily spin with the daily Jama Day gifts that they do every single day. Also, they have Pet Reindeer once again, and then Animal Jam spent an entire page announcing that Arctic foxes were back to Jama. And of course, they had a full page advertisement asking you to buy them gift cards. The worst part was, they had included this in the last 6 Jama journals. If you don't believe me, then look at this Jama journal from a couple years before on the same topic. Happy Jama Holidays, followed by the daily Jama Holiday gifts replacing the Jama Holiday spin, the Jama Holiday Jam Party, the new Pet Reindeer coming back, and Animal Jam announcing the monthly member gifts. This is the previous week's edition of the Jama Journal, and as you can see, they announced the exact same things as the next week, which is hilarious. This is one of the funniest ones yet. Remember that the top line at the top of every single Jama Journal will tell you which Jama Journal it's from. So the light blue ones are the ones from the one I'm showing you, and the rest of them are just proof that Animal Jam has kind of been ripping off ideas from their past Jama Journals. So this one is an announcement that the Jama Holidays are here. In it, they announced that Deer are coming and then you can earn double gems from all games. But what's interesting is the very last update, they announced that Deer were coming and that you could win double gems from all games with the exact same way of announcing it. The only thing that changed is the fact that they said the daily Jama Holiday gifts were coming out, and they just slightly changed the picture for the Jama Holiday gift announcement. They also announced that the retail gift card bonus was coming out, but they had announced that in the same style the last week. Even worse, they announced that AJ Jump was coming out, even though they'd done that the last edition, and even the edition before that. So there really was not anything new at all in this update, and it's amazing how they still managed to fill the entire Jama Journal despite the fact that they really didn't add anything. Now, granted, I understand where this one's coming from. The update after this was amazing. It released like 3 new lands, 2 new animals, new pets, and just so much cool stuff. But it is kind of funny that the update right before that update came out was literally just announcing various items that Animal Jam was going to release without actually releasing anything. They did talk about the member gifts that were coming out and the fact that it was Animal Jam's birthday, but those were things that had been touched on for the last 2 editions. So I just thought this was kind of a funny one because they just teased so much stuff but didn't actually add anything. You know the update is not going to be particularly exciting when the front page, the biggest news in all the 2 weeks since the Jama Journal has come out, says hyenas are back. When an old animal returning is the most exciting thing to happen to Jamaa, you know that the rest of it is probably not going to be particularly interesting. And yeah, the rest of the update didn't add too much. The Summer Carnival came back, they spent a whole page on that. They even announced another half a page that there were tickets and prizes at the Summer Carnival. They did add one somewhat useful feature, the accessory preview, and they did talk a little bit about pigs potentially coming into the game. And, of course, they spent the entire last page talking about the traveling polar bears. Very interesting space management. This update really reminds me of when you need to turn in an essay, but you don't really have enough content to actually turn it in, so you just turn the font size up a little bit, or change the font so it looks like it's taking up more space than it is. This update is definitely a good laugh. Alright, now we're getting into the updates that are a little less, not very helpful and more controversial and hurt the game more than they might have helped it. These two updates that I was not a huge fan of begin with the Hata Palooza. If you don't know, top hats were so rare, especially ones like black ones. They were incredibly rare. I cannot stress to you enough how much these things were worth. You could literally count on like one or two hands how many of each type there were in the game. And basically the reason so many people hate this update is because top hats were collected for a very, very long time, and they were very, very treasured by some of the biggest names in the game, like Visual Effects and Wootmoo and Northern King, people like that. And Animal Jam, with no warning, just released a shop into Canyon's Pathway where they were selling the top hats. And then after that, they didn't really add anything new. They just re-announced what the club member gift was going to be and then talked about a contest they were holding. So again, they just kind of added a negative thing to the game. People were really upset about it and then didn't really add anything new. And it felt a lot like, to a lot of players, that they didn't really have an idea for an update, and so they just re-released some old rares to skip 2 weeks of updates. That's right, boys, you knew it was going to be somewhere on this list, and a lot of you probably guessed it was going to be number 1. The Diamond Shop is easily the most controversial update ever added to Animal Jam. I'll go on a bit of a rant after I just sum up what exactly happened, and why so many people hated this update so much. There were a few main problems with the Diamond Shop. First of all, it really made non-members feel excluded because everything in there was members only. Nowadays, there's a tiny bit more non-member stuff. I mean, you have things like that waterfall and pigs that people can buy with the diamonds they win from the daily spin if they're non-members, but it's not the same. And so it was really a source of non-member discrimination, and it really made the game pay to win. Now, this wasn't just because of the fact that you had to be a member to buy some of these items, but it was also because in order to get a decent number of diamonds, you had to buy gift cards or buy diamonds straight from the Jamaa Outfitters store. On top of that, people felt really cheated because of this system. They'd worked so hard for so many of these rares, which Animal Jam was now releasing into store, by the way, and it really felt like Animal Jam was taking all the effort that we'd put into gathering all of these rares and just making it so that all the hype that we'd created around collecting all these rares was now being exploited, so people would spend real-life money on diamonds so they could feel like they were rare, even though the items weren't really rare anymore because, well, they were in the Diamond Shop. And even members who had tons of money left over were a little bit upset, because this meant that Animal Jam was no longer releasing those monthly member gifts, and those were really, really cool and people really enjoyed them. It's true that they still technically do release one item a month into the Diamond Shop, but since you only get one diamond a week, you basically have to spend money in order to get the monthly member gift every single week. Plus, this meant that they released animals as diamond only. I mean, it's been a long time since we've had a gem animal, and this meant that all of a sudden, if you wanted to get the monthly member gift, you couldn't get the new animal every month or 2 months. And then there's the thing that I found the most annoying, maybe because it just affected me personally, but I think a lot of people were really upset over the fact that they had spent over $50 on these gift cards to get all of the exclusive gift card only animals that were $16 a piece. I mean, one year for Christmas, all I asked for was this Arctic Wolf gift card, and I got it, and now to figure out that you can just buy it for 10 diamonds, it was a big shock. And I think I speak for many players as well as myself when I say that we definitely would not have bought these gift cards if we had known that Animal Jam was just going to release these animals into the game normally like every other animal. So it is really frustrating, and I did feel like I lost almost $50 on something that Animal Jam just didn't give me all the information on. So that is the reason why I think the Diamond Shop is the worst update. The Diamond Shop, since its release, has gotten a little bit better and friendlier towards all jammers. I mean, there are many more non-member items, and it's much easier to get diamonds when you buy membership and they come as a little added bonus. Plus, it's easier to win them on the daily spin now. And it's been so long, it's pretty hard to be salty about that gift card situation. Plus, you see everyone enjoying Arctic Wolves so much nowadays that, well, I guess maybe it was for the better in the end. After all, I've shown you plenty of updates today, and you've seen how much better Animal Jam has gotten as a game and how good all the updates have been. And that is because they've been making so much money as their player base grows, and they do things like the Diamond Shop, and yeah, they get some of kids' money every once in a while, but they reinvest it, a lot of it, into the game to make it better and to make it more enjoyable for all of us. So, Even though we all hate spending money on Animal Jam, it does go to a good purpose, and some of it does actually go to benefit animals, which is a really good purpose. Anyways, Beans, thank you so much for watching. I really hope that next time an update comes out and you go, man, this is terrible, you think back to some of these and realize, well, it could have been a lot worse. I mean, when some of those rares were released, I was devastated as a 7th grader. Again, I just want to reemphasize the point that I mean no hate towards AJHQ, and I respect everything they do, and after going to their headquarters, I realize how much effort they put into even the simplest updates. So, please, no hard feelings, and I love you guys. Bye.